Welcome, everyone. We are now live. It's exactly 7:30 Israel time, and I would be surprised if everyone who is going to join is here. So I can see how many people are watching. So we're going to give it a minute or two for people to join. And everyone knows the phrase, if you build it, they will come. So a lot of times when I start a class and I know more people are coming, so I say, if you sing, they will come. So I'm going to sing a nigun. This is not Zoom, so hopefully everyone will sing with me wherever you are. We'll sing a nigun and then we'll start learning. And since we're doing this together, so let's sing Reb Shlomo's Yachad. Yachad, 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 Kulam Kedusha Lecha Yishaleshu Kulam Kedusha Lecha Yishaleshu Nine, 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 Hallelujah, 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 nine, nine, nine. Oh, 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 I, nine, nine. Hey. Ay, 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 yachad, 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 kulam kedusha Lecha Yishaleshu Kulam Kedusha Lecha Yishaleshu Ding nine 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 ding ding nine 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 ding ding nine 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 ding nine nine ding nine 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 hey nine 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 Hey, nine, 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 I'm the nine, 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 nine. Oh, 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 I, nine, 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 nine. Oh, 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 I, nine, nine, I, nine, nine, nine. Okay, we are here, Yachad. We're in my miklat, my office, my bomb shelter, and I'm kind of stalling here because I'm watching how many people, and it's like every 10, 20 seconds, more and more people are joining. So we're going to start in like 1 minute, and we're going to learn strong. We're going to learn very, very strong. Bezrat Hashem. Bezrat Hashem. I'm not sure where everyone is from, but here in Eretz Israel, the weather was beautiful today, absolutely beautiful. And after almost a month where we were not supposed to go anywhere more than 100 meters from our house, They finally, except for shopping, for food and medical. And we really held by that. And last Thursday, they lifted that ban, that decree, and we could go out walking in the forest again. And it was like giving us our lives back. It was so liberating, so absolutely liberating. So, okay. So for those of you who've gotten the email, gotten the Facebook, tonight is the start of almost a month of online learning. The series is really called Living with the Times. And that's really what we're going to do. We're going to connect very deeply to Sfirat Omer. To this month is the month of Iyar, and then the month of Sivan. Later this week, we have Pesach Sheni. Next week, we have Lag BaOmer. Then after that, we have Yom Yerushalayim, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and then preparing for Shavuot. And so the theme that we're running through tonight, and in a sense, all of them, is this idea of living with the times. So I want to explain what that means. This expression comes from the Alter Rebbe, Reb Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the founder of the Chabad Lubavitch movement. And what he meant in a limited sense was that we should look in the Parshat Shavuot, the Torah portion of the week, and by connecting deeply with the Parsha, we could see it reflected in our own lives, in what's happening all around us. And for people who do that, I can't say it works like all the time, but a lot of the time it's absolutely startling how we can see what's happening in the world and in our lives in the Parsha. But in a broader sense, it also means being connected to the time of year we're in, which holiday is coming up. And what we're going to explore tonight are more levels of that. So for example, and I'm going to come back to this in a minute, every day now we're counting Sfirat Omer. And when we count the day along with the Sfirot that are connected to the energy of the day, that is how we get to the depths of what Sfirat Omer is doing for us. If we're just counting, today is one day of the Omer, today is 2 days of the Omer, what we have is, superficially, is going from Pesach to Shavuot, the 7 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot. But if we tune in deeply to the energy of each day as hinted to in the Sfirot that we're connecting, that is the depths of living with the times. So much so that every day it's a different energy. Everyone's heard the expression, every day is a day that's never been here before and never will be here after. Of course, that's true, but how many times do we actually live our lives like that? But when we're counting Sfirat Omer, we can really do that. But that entails connecting to the Sfirot of the day. And by understanding the Sfirot, then we get a handle on what is the fixing of that day, what's the possibilities of that day. On a different level, living with the times is very connected to Shabbos, because Shabbos is the central focus of our lives. So if Friday we're not tuned into the fact that in a few hours it's Shabbos, and we're not preparing correctly, we get to Shabbos and we don't have food prepared, we don't have our clothes prepared, the house isn't prepared. So every week, in a sense, if we're living with the lifestyle of Shabbos, then already on Wednesday is like, who are we inviting for Shabbos? Where were we invited out for Shabbos? When are we doing the Shabbos shopping, the cooking, etc.? In a bigger sense, we have the 7 years of Shemitah. Now, this is a bigger cycle, and many people, especially if you don't live in Israel, it's almost like it just doesn't even enter our consciousness. But if you live in Israel, and especially if you have any land or even a backyard, whatever, and it's the 6th year, then you know that I have to do all these things to get ready for Shemitah. So that's also a level of living with the times. And even on the bigger picture, so we're told that this cycle of history is going to last 6,000 years. And the 7,000th year is Mashiach. And so for every Jew, but especially living in Eretz Israel, we are in 5780. So we're getting very close to the 6,000th year. And so for living with the times, we understand that the reason that we came back to Eretz Israel around 100 years ago, 150 years ago, is because we are getting close to the end of the 6,000th year. So that's a type of living with the times that is also a constant thing. That on Wednesday we're going to explore that even more. The idea of redemption, past, present, and future, to understand where are we holding right now as far as the process or the cycle of redemption. Okay, pardon me, I'll have a drink. I already said a bracha, so I'm not saying another bracha. Now, what I'd like to explore along with that tonight, and we'll see why, is the idea of being in the middle. What does it mean to be in the middle of a process? To be in the middle of a cycle, a middle of a flow. And that middle, when we look at it even deeper, is this idea of being centered. How do we center ourselves? And to be centered, we have to know how to focus. So the reason I'm saying this is, I'm going to give an example now. I'm talking from Eretz Yisrael, and as I look out the window, it's getting dark now. But depending on where you are, I'll say yesterday, but it might be today for you, was the 24th day of the Sphira count. And the Sphira were Teferet Sheba Netzach. And so I'm going to show a chart here, just so we can understand how I came up to this theme. It's small, and we don't have to even look at the words, but I want to show you. This is Teferet right here, and this is Netzach. Now, if you look at Teferet right here, you'll notice it's in the middle column. There are 3 columns. There's this is the right column, the left column, and the middle column. Teferet is in the middle column. But not only that, if you look from above, from Keter down to Malchut, it's also in the middle. Now, if you look at the lower 7 Sfirot, that's what we're counting in Sfirat Omer. So we have, I'm not going to even say the word, just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the bottom one is 7. So Netzach is the fourth one of the 7. This is also the middle, in a sense. So Teferet Sheba Netzach, the energy of the day, was this idea of balance, of harmony, of weighing both sides, of integrating, of holism. That was the energy of the day. So that's what gave me the idea that along with this theme, for people who are just joining now, we're looking at the theme of living with the times and with this idea of what does it mean to be in the middle. So I have to be very careful now because I haven't counted Sphira for the next day. So I can't say which day it is, but I can hint to it like this. If yesterday was the 24th day, so this coming day is the middle of the 49-day count. So if we're living with the time, this is the energy now. We are halfway between Pesach and Shavuot. And when we count the Omer, we're every night we say, Usfartim lechem mimecharat Shabbat sheva Shabbatot tamimot. We count 7 whole weeks. And then later it says, V'tisparu chamishim yom. We count 50 days. Now, everyone knows that we really don't count the 50th day. We count 49 days. So the question is, what does the Torah mean that we're counting 50 days? So this is what we'll call keeping your eye on the ball. Because everyone knows from life, you start a project, and it could be a week project, a month project, a year project. How many times somewhere along the way, we don't even remember, or we lose track of, or we lose the momentum of what we're shooting for. So when it says count 50 days, it means every day, make sure that you know what you're counting for. We're counting towards Har Sinai. We're counting towards receiving the Torah. So this coming day is the 50th day. Is the middle of the 50th day. Now, in the Tikkunei Zohar, it makes a big point in many, many places in the Tikkunei Zohar that there are 25 letters in Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, is 25 letters. And we always talk about the Shema as being the central statement or the cardinal statement of faith in Judaism. And so that, in a sense, is the function of Shema. That is our focus point. That's why we say it twice a day. And in fact, the Zohar points out that if you say it twice a day, Shema is 25 letters, and another 25 is 50. So saying the Shema is this idea of knowing where your middle is, what your central point is. We're going to delve into that even deeper. So I want to show this figure, because along with the Shema being 25 letters, the Tikkunei Zohar also makes a big deal of the fact that Shema is 6 words. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And so if you look at a Magen David, so you'll see that there are 6 wings of the Magen David. There's 6 wings. So this, we could actually conceive of this as in each one of the wings of the Magen David is one of the words of the Shema. And our consciousness is trying to draw this energy in to this central point. That's why when we talk about being in the middle, that is the energy of today. Again, I don't want to mention, but yesterday was 24 days. That's the middle point of the Sphira count. And we're going to develop this even deeper. So many of you may have different books of mine. And in a number of different books, I give over a teaching from Rav Ginsburg. He has a whole book called Living in Divine Space, where he takes the 6 continual mitzvot that is written about, that there's 6 mitzvot, mental, they're all mental, that applies to every Jew at every time and every place. And it's a whole meditation. I can't really go into it in depth here. But my purpose is that if we're living with the times, right now we are, like I said, halfway between Pesach and Shavuot. And this is the time to refocus and know what we're doing here. Where are we going? And we're going to see that we're going to connect this to the whole situation in the world right now. But we're like building we're putting together a mosaic here. And so we have to go step by step. So the 6 mitzvot, and maybe some of you are taking notes, and if not, you should know that all of these videos will be posted on Facebook, on our website, and on YouTube. So you can go over it. But the 6 mitzvot are the belief in God and divine providence. That's 1. That there are no other gods other than God. That's 2. The unity of God, that is the Shema. The knowing God is the first of the 10 commandments, and no other gods is the second of the 10 commandments. Shema is the unity of God. Then we have the love of God, the fear of God, and in the 3rd passage of the Shema, Lo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem. Don't go after the musings of your heart and your eyes. In other words, don't go after fantasies and negative energy. And so the idea is that there are 6 mitzvot, and there are really 6 directions. There are 4 directions, and above and below. And we're in the middle. We're in the middle. And this is the secret, one of the secrets of shaking lulav. Because when we shake lulav, I'm going to do it now according to the Arizal. He did it according to the Sphira. But you know that we shake to the 6 directions. And each time we shake, we draw it back to the heart. We shake and we draw it to the heart. So we're in the middle, and we're creating around us a divine space. We're creating around us a divine space. So this is a deeper understanding of being in the middle, of being centered, of being focused, of how to integrate. And we're going to come back to this idea of meditation because it's very, very crucial if we get the most out of Sphira to Omer. I'll mention it again. If we're just counting the days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's okay. We're doing it. We're doing the mitzvah, but we're missing out on the opportunity of incredible tikkunim, incredible fixings and improvements that we could be making. So I'm going to show again the Magen David here. Now, like we said before, there are 6 wings, outer wings of the Magen David. But what happens if you fold them in? You see how there's also inside, there are another 6 triangles. Each one of these folds in, and where do they meet? In a center point. So this, you're going to see, this is very Kabbalistic, but you're going to see when we apply it in a few minutes to the situation in the world, how real this is. So we're told that this picture or this form can be envisioned as the Tzimtzum. As the Arizal explains, that when God created the world, all there was the infinity of God. There was nothing else, no time, no space, no finite matter, nothing. It was just the infinite light of God. So when God decides to create the world, so the question is, where will God put a finite world with an infinity? It's like oxymoronic. So the Ari explains that God contracted his infinite light, as it were, in order to make space for a finite reality. And there are 2 versions of how we can envision this. It's very conceptual. But through the Magen David, we can actually conceive it. Either we can conceive it as each, in a sense, each one of these wings folds in and all meets at a center point, and then all of this becomes empty, as it were, empty space for finite reality to take place. The other way to envision is the way most people do envision it, is just the opposite, is all the inner space folds out, and then in the middle, all of this becomes empty. All of this becomes empty. Now, either way, again, this is very symbolic and conceptual, but the idea is, the Ari said that after the Tzimtzum, there was what's called a Halal Panui, an empty vacuum, and that God shone into the middle of the vacuum a ray of light, and from that ray of light, all creation comes. Now, this middle point here is what we call the Big Bang, because that's what we say, is that everything that would ever be created came from an almost infinitely small, we don't even know what to call it, and all of the galaxies. And I just read that, if I might have this wrong, it's something like that. They now think that the universe is 91 trillion light years. Now, that number is so astronomical. 91 billion light years. And it all came from a point in the middle. So what is this telling us? What this is telling us is that the world is going through an incredible experience now. Unprecedented what's happening. In a certain way, I'm sure people are a little bit tired of talking about the coronavirus and the reality around us. But one of the experiences that is happening is there is an incredible contraction of people being confined and shut down in their homes all over the world. it's like a Hollywood movie. How many Hollywood movies have been made that either aliens came to Earth or a meteor hits the Earth and the whole world finds itself in a crisis and has to come together to solve the crisis? I mean, the scores of Hollywood movies. In fact, they made a movie like just 7 years ago called Pandemic. So this idea of Tzimtzum is not just a Kabbalistic idea. It's what the world is actually experiencing now. That we've been forced in great measure to go deep inside, because a lot of the outside distractions, how many people have not been able to go to work? Or how many people have to work from home? Or how many people have been laid off or unpaid leave? I know for the first time in 44 years, my wife and I had Seder by ourselves. And this happened all over the place. So this idea of Tzimtzum is, it's not positive or not negative. It's a reality. It's not just a Kabbalistic concept. And so this has to do, again, with the middle point. For those who are following, I'm bringing from many different places the Sfira count for this coming day is because we're in the middle. And we're in the middle, we have the possibility of kind of seeing things from every side. It becomes, in a sense, a meditative possibility. I'm sure a lot of people did a lot of projects that they've been putting off for who knows how long, because now they had the time, or had the time to think about certain things. Okay, so now I want to bring, for me, it was a life-changing Torah that I learned from Rav Ginsburg. It says in the Gemara that Ein simcha kehatarat sfekot. There's no joy like solving or figuring out a way out of doubt. Suffix is doubt. Ein simcha kehatarat sfekot. So everyone can relate to this. You're in the airport and you have a connection, and they announce that the plane is delayed. So immediately it's like you look at your watch and like, how long of a delay until I miss my connection? And so then every minute becomes like pretty heavy, trying to, like, what am I going to do here? Like, very tight connection. And then, okay, we solved it. We're loading the plane. Now, obviously, this example can be used in a million different ways. And then it's like, the doubt of, well, what am I going to do, is solved. And we go through this all the time. We go through all the time that don't know how things are going to turn out. And most people, there are people who are so well adjusted, they can handle anything. But most people, when doubt enters, it's a heavy load. So the Gemara says, what a joy when you have doubt and now you've figured it out, you've solved it. So Rav Ginsburg takes the same words and just translates it a little bit different. The word in the said Ein simcha kehatarat. Hatarat here means to solve, to get rid of. But that same word, exact same word, also means to give permission. Lahatir, to get a heter, to get permission to do something. So he read it like this: there's no joy as great as giving yourself permission to be joyous, even when you have a doubt. And when I learned that, it was, wow, what a different way to live your life. It really brought me great joy, and I can't say that it works for me all the time, but most of the time it does. And when you think about it, we all live in a constant state of existential doubt. Because the expression, you don't know from 1 minute to the next, it's really true. It just happens, though, that most days we go through and we're not challenged with things just popping up out of nowhere. But unfortunately, many of us know many, many instances in our own lives and other people's lives where everything can change in the snap of a finger. And just to relate on a personal level, it's almost a year since the Moshav fire. And for everyone in the Moshav, it was on Lag BaOmer. And actually the night before, we had this beautiful event at our house. Many, many people came. We learned and sang for hours and hours and hours. The next day, it's Lag BaOmer. And within an hour, our life changed forever. It will actually never go back to what it was. Never. And then the coronavirus came. And in a sense, for many people, okay, they're retired, they can work from home. It's not so challenging. But for many, many people, we're going through very, very challenging times. Very challenging times. And unfortunately, a lot of people have passed away. A lot of people become sick. And so having suffix is kind of like you're in the middle and you don't know what's going to be. And so this Torah from Rav Ginsburg is, and I've reminded myself of this hundreds of times in this last year, that, okay, I don't know what's going to be. And the truth is, the experience the people in the Moshav are going through is, it could be many, many years before the dust settles here. And there's so much doubt and there's so much unsurety of how the community is going to come back together and when and in what way. And enough said. But everyone can translate that into your own lives. So this idea, going back, that the energy for this coming day, or for those in Eretz Israel, it's already dark. We haven't counted yet, but is being in the middle and knowing what to do with that. That's living with the times, because we're right between Pesach and Shavuot. If you look at history, we began, let's say, in the more temporal level, we began humanity in the Garden of Eden, and we have a firm promise, anticipation, and prophecy about a messianic era where figuratively and symbolically it's like returning to the garden. And all of history, in a sense, we're in the middle. We're not at the beginning, we're not at the end. We're somewhere in the middle. And for each person also, the neshama is coming from a very, very high spiritual place. And God willing, will return there when we leave this world. So our whole lives in a sense, we're in the middle. But we need to learn how to turn the middle into the center point. That's what we have to learn. We have to learn to be able to center ourselves, integrate, focus, and we do that through living with the times. Because let's say an example. You go to a wedding and everyone is so joyous. Everyone is so happy, and the dancing and the singing, but you happen to be in a bad mood for maybe good reasons, but whatever. So everyone around you is happy, but because we're not living with the times, we're off in our own world. So this idea of living with the times is, as we said before, it's connecting to the portion of the week. We have a lunar calendar. So every month has its own energy. It's not like the solar calendar. The solar calendar is very, very different, where, in a sense, the difference between January and February, I mean, we don't even think about it. We think about maybe some of the secular holidays that come up, but there are June, July, August is summer. It's like, but in a lunar calendar, every month has a whole set of associations that we live with the times to. By connecting to the associations for the month, again, this is a whole other subject. That way we get to the depths of what is actually happening around us. Or we can just be oblivious. I mean, let's say before Rosh Hashanah, we have a whole month of Elul to prepare. Now, some people really take advantage of that and really understand that the time entails tshuva, entails contemplation, entails tikkun, fixing, rectification, improvement. And other people just kind of glide through Elul, and all of a sudden, like, tomorrow's Rosh Hashanah. So now I want to just connect this all to the month we're in, because we mentioned that there's a whole set of associations. So one of the associations with each of the 12 months, and this is in the Sefer Yetzirah, is each month has a sense, a chush. And these include the 5 physical senses and another 7. There are 12 altogether. So the sense of this month of Iyar is what's called hirhur. Hirhur means thought. Now, the word that we usually use for thought is machshava. Machshava. So a beautiful teaching is if you take the letters of machshava and you permute them, the same letters of thought spell out besimcha, with joy. So this is a very, very important teaching. It's not just a little word game here. Because when we're talking about joy, many people think joy is an emotion. And in a sense, we can think of it that way. But really, what joy is, what simcha is, a decision. It's a decision we make up here, b'machshava, in our thought. Because, and in fact, when we look at free will, also a whole other discussion. But in a simplified way, very simplified way, when it gets down to it, we really have one choice every day. Am I going to make this a happy day? Am I going to relate to my reality with joy? Or am I going to be worried? Am I going to be depressed? Am I going to be sad? Am I going to be angry? Whatever it is, that being joyous is a decision that we make. And in fact, it's a moral decision. Because if we're not besimcha, everyone we're in touch with, especially our families, they pay the price. We think, okay, I'm not happy today. It doesn't affect anyone, but it certainly does. Most certainly does. So being joyous is a decision. So this is connected to Sfirat Omer. And I'll mention now that ER is also the idea of the middle. Why? Is because we count Sfirat Omer over 3 months. We begin in Nisan, the day after Pesach, and we go into the first 6 days of Sivan. But the only month that is totally dedicated to Sfirat Omer is Iyar. So the whole month of Iyar is like, it's not the beginning and it's not the end. It's in the middle. And that's when we tend to lose momentum, inspiration, focus. So once again, this is the energy of this coming day. The middle. Yesterday was 24. And since we're counting 49 days, this coming day is the middle point. So there's, if anyone is familiar with the music of Counting Crows, in one of their songs called Rain King, one of the verses, I'm saying it out of context, but he says, I belong anywhere but in between. And that grabs what we're trying to say, like very, very strongly, that's how a lot of people feel. It's like, I want to get to the end. I want to get to the finished product. I want to be X, but I don't necessarily want to do all the steps that will get me there. And in a sense, if all the steps in between become such a hassle, when we actually get there, it won't be half as joyous. We might think it's like, I finally got there. But truthfully, it's much more joyous if during the process, we also, we don't take our eye off the ball. Remember the idea of counting 50 days. We don't take our eye off the ball, and we enjoy the process. That the journey, in a sense, is the end, because we don't get to the end. We never get to the end. Even death really is not the end, because we believe that the soul is eternal. So in a sense, we never get to the end. The Sefer Yetzirah says, Na'ud sofan b'techilatan b'sofan. The end is wedged in the beginning, and the beginning in the end. So if you have a circle and there's no end or beginning, you're always in the middle, because you don't know where the end is and you don't know where the beginning is. Okay, so now we just have a few minutes left. I'm going to end at 8:30 sharp, but I want to take this opportunity to, Wednesday is our next class. It'll be at 8 o'clock, and that's called Redemption, Secrets of Redemption, Past, Present, and Future. I have to admit I'm somewhat technologically challenged. I have to thank my son Ephraim for helping me set this all up, and all the emails and the Facebooks and everything. And so I'm not taking comments right now, but everyone, is invited to write by email any question or comment or addition or argument, whatever. It's rabbi@thetrugmans.com. I'll say that again, rabbi@thetrugmans.com. And everyone is invited to come to our website, thetrugmans.com. There are hundreds of audio classes, videos, parsha, holidays, meditation, music, poetry, stories, pretty much you name it. Okay, so in the last few minutes, I want to go back a little bit to what the world is going through. And we talked about that yesterday was Tiferet Netzach, and that Tiferet is in the middle of the Sfirot, and in a certain way, Netzach is also the middle of the seven lower. And it seems in a way that our whole situation is so unprecedented. It's as if the whole world is like balanced. No one knows where it's going to go. No one has any idea, really. And the Rambam teaches it's like a mashal, a parable, that a person should look at the world as if it's evenly balanced at every moment. And that my next step, my next thought or speech or action has the power to change the balance. That's why in the month of Tishrei, the astrological symbol are the scales. Because at Rosh Hashanah also, who knows what kind of judgment is coming down? We have faith that it will be good. And even if it's not good, we have faith that in a way we can't understand, it will also be good. So we try to take two themes here. I'm going to try to wrap this up now. We took a theme of living with the times and this energy of being in the middle. And so we could ask, okay, so how do we really access that? And that's where we come to meditation. I mentioned it briefly before with living in divine space, that we create a divine space around ourselves. We're in the middle. We are the one who is meditating. And the connection here is we're counting 50 days from Pesach to Shavuot. Shavuot is on the 50th day. So in our tradition, we have a concept called the 50 gates of understanding. The 50 understanding is the word bina. So we have Chamishim Sharei Bina, 50 gates of understanding. So we understand that each day of the Sphira, we're doing two things. We're told that we reached the 49th level of impurity in Egypt, and we want to get to the 50th gate of purity on Shavuos. So every day we have to actively, consciously, remember, ER is machshava, hirhur. We want to purposely try to fix something in a very practical way. It's actually very Kabbalistic because we're working with the Sphirot, but it is so psychologically sound and practical of how we can get the most out of each day. And what's interesting is that the word in Hebrew, one of the words, there's two words really, for meditation. One is hit bonanut, from the root bina, understanding. And the other one is hit bodedut, from the word boded, to be levad, to be alone. And so, again, connecting it to what the world is going through is, and hopefully we're coming to an end. Here in Israel, things are starting to relax, and things are opening up. But the lessons that we could have learned and should have learned and can still learn is the importance of being centered within ourselves, of not being so dependent on so much stimuli that we're bombarded with every day. And it's true, we're keeping in touch through this technology. So I'm not trashing technology, but everyone knows how much extraneous stimuli we're bombarded with every day. And Sfirat Omer is very similar to Elul and Tishrei. It's a very contemplative time, a time of the possibility of tremendous rectifications. And the world also, hundreds of articles, hundreds of videos of people trying to figure out where can we go from here? What can we learn from this experience? What kind of fixings can we make for the world to make it a better place? So I want to end with a beautiful story of Rabbi Salanter, the founder of the Musar movement. And he said like this, he said, when I was young, I really wanted to change the world. I had a fiery passion to change the world, make it a better place. He said, I don't think I accomplished that. So when I got a little bit older, I thought, okay, so I'll concentrate on my people. I don't necessarily think that I changed my people. My community. I'm in touch with all of the time, my smaller community. Maybe a little bit, maybe. My family. My family, my blood. I don't know if I even did that. And then I realized that I need to fix myself. But then he said like this, he said, now that I'm older and I understand, if I would have started with myself, I might have been able to change all the other things that I wanted to change. So I want to end with a bracha. This whole week is the energy of Netzach. We're living with the times. Netzach means victory. It means orchestration. A conductor in Hebrew is from the root Netzach. You know, in the Psalms, Minatseach. And it also means eternity. So I want to end with a bracha that with or without the coronavirus, with or without Sfirat Omer, but we have a golden opportunity to grow by leaps and bounds, even light years, truthfully. But we can do this any day. We talked about the decision to be joyous. And that I didn't mention, with the 1 minute left, I'm going to mention that the inner dimension of Bina, of understanding, is Simcha. The greatest understanding that we can have is that we have the choice to be joyous or not, no matter what's happening around us. We're not talking about a frivolous joy. We're not talking about fun. We're not talking about superficial. We're talking about a deep inner sense of calm and peace and connection to our soul, to our loved ones, to our communities, to Am Yisrael, to humanity, and to Hashem. So I'm going to end here, but I'll mention again, anyone who wants to send in a question or a comment, please send it in to my email, rabbi@thetrugmans.com, and go to our website. Stay tuned to Facebook and our emails for upcoming classes. We not only Wednesday, we have something on Thursday also. It's a 4-hour extra attraction of 30 different Talmidim of Reb Shlomo. teaching about Pesach Sheni. And then next week, we also have Lag BaOmer, which we still have to announce exactly what's going to be for Lag BaOmer. Anyways, I want to bless everyone with good health. Everyone should stay safe, and we should make the most of the moments, not just count the days, but make our moments count.